Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in the state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money and the power, never be fake. Stick to code, sign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same empire back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. BBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr Boyce TV.
School. And today I have the distinct honor of bringing to you on Powernomics Friday instead of Thursday, the one and only Dr. Claud Anderson. Dr. Anderson is the author of the books Powernomics, Black Labor, White Wealth, The Black History Reader, and Dirty Little Secrets 1 and 2. And so without further ado, I'd like to ask Dr. Anderson, how you doing today, sir?
Oh, I'm doing much better today than I've been doing in about the last 5 or 6 months, boys.
Oh, okay. So
I feel much better. I'm trying to come out of this physical affliction that was put on me, but I'm trying to come out now.
All right. Well, I know everybody's happy to hear that, and I know I am too. And as you come into the conversation, if you guys could take 1 second, please hit that thumbs up button because we are sharing Black knowledge with the world, and we want more people to be a part of these discussions. Everybody should know about Dr. Anderson because he is a living historical figure, and and we need to make sure all of our children know about his work and about Powernomics principles. So, Dr. Anderson, let's start with just what everybody's talking about this week. Now we're up to 30 million jobs lost. The economy is looking pretty terrible. The situation is looking pretty dire and sad for a lot of people. And also, there's the added issue of this virus hitting Black folks more than everybody else. What's going through your mind right now in terms of what you see in the world?
First of all, it is a surprise that they finally surpassed the unemployment rate of the Great Depression, 1929. They went over that. I did not think it would go past that, but it has. And so you got all these 30 million people unemployed. When you use the word unemployed, though, as I told you 3 or 4 or 5 previous occasions when you and I were talking, see, unemployment does not specify, is not peculiar to Black folk. Black folk are not unemployed. Negroes have never been unemployed. They had full-time employment when they were slaves. The problem was they just didn't get paid. They were employed, but they didn't get paid. That's the difference. What white folks suffer unemployment. Black folks suffer joblessness. Unemployment means that you temporarily, for whatever reason, either by choice or circumstances, that you're not going to just not go to work. And see, 87% of the average white person's income is unearned. They don't work, they have to work. The average white person gets 87% of his income comes from not working, unearned. Where he's getting it from, you could probably tell me, too. They get it from the stock market. They get it from rental income. They get it from capital gains. They get it from a whole variety of sources. And they get it from inheritance. They get it from trust accounts. White folks, that is unemployment, which means they can either work or they don't have to work. They got a choice. That's why white folk, 87% of their wealth is unearned. Black folk, by the same token, they're not suffering from unemployment. They're suffering from joblessness. They do not have access. White folk have access since everything is in their neighborhood, in their community, in their business, in their family, in their culture. They can get a job when they want one. The average white person can get a job when he wants it or when he needs it, anytime. Even those you see standing on the street corner begging with a bucket, taking handouts at a traffic light, they can go find jobs because everything's in their neighborhood. There's nothing, Dr. Watkins, there's nothing, absolutely nothing in a Black neighborhood for Blacks to be able to survive off of. It's abandoned, it's porous, it is poverty stricken. And any businesses in there don't belong to Black folk. 98% of businesses in those Black neighborhoods belong to other people, either to whites or what I call revolving or rotating minorities. Arabs, Asian, Hispanics are coming in there setting up those businesses. they might luckily give black folks a job at minimum wage, and they determine the value. So black folk not suffering from unemployment. The unemployment they would have is structural. They have structural unemployment. Now, so you should ask me then, what's the unemployment rolls that are being reported regularly?
Please, yeah, go ahead.
The unemployment rates that are being reported, that's on calculations. They only calculate unemployment based on two things. That's primarily for whites, on those who are unemployed because they're not seeking a job or don't want a job, or those who are collecting unemployment compensation. That's it. Black folks suffer structural unemployment, which means some of them been unemployed so long they don't even look for jobs anymore because the jobs are not in their neighborhoods. Dr. Watkins, where are they going to find a job in a black neighborhood? You tell me. Or pimping and hustling, selling drugs, or stealing hot cars. So they have to find a decent job. If they want one, a black person has to go out of their neighborhoods, out of their neighborhoods into white communities to get a job. That's where all the resources are. And then when they go there, guess who determines the value of the person's labor? It's the white person that owns the business, the community. They determine only. So black folk are exporting their labor out of their community into white communities where white folk establish the value on it. That's why I can go past any business in a black neighborhood, a chain, McDonald's, Burger King's, Taco Bell's, and got black kids there, black people with master's degrees working in McDonald's restaurants, mopping the floors, because white folk put the value on that labor that the blacks. That's why I got black kids with master's degrees, no jobs. I got black doctor's degrees, but white folk put the value on it. Now, I know this is complicated now. I know it sounds very complicated, but it's extremely important. There's a major difference between unemployment and joblessness. When somebody is unemployed, typically they're following their roles, which means the person who is either collecting unemployment compensation or he's not working a job. And then for a black, he got to go out of that neighborhood to somebody else's neighborhood to look for a job, because there's no businesses in his neighborhood that are going to offer him any jobs. If they do, it's going to be chicken change jobs for little money. So there's a difference between white folks with unemployment and blacks with joblessness. The way you solve the problem with black folk, you got to create jobs and businesses. You got to create businesses. That's why you got to form and shape your own communities and hire your own people and pay them a decent wage. A black person with a master's degree working in McDonald's, he masters nothing. He's just working there for chicken change money. And so when I tell black folk, don't use this thing of talking about unemployment. Black folk have structural unemployment ever since slavery. White folk decide when black folk can work, what they're going to get paid. They don't make their decisions because you don't have enough black businesses in the black communities. Black communities are inhabited by non-blacks. I'll let you cut in because I might be confusing you on this point, but this is
I wanted to ask you a question about that, actually. But before I do that, I want to tell everybody who I'm speaking with Dr. Claud Anderson. Dr. Claud Anderson is the author of the books Powernomics, Black Labor, White Wealth, The Black History Reader, Dirty Little Secrets 1 and 2. Everybody in here, if you're black first, if you believe that we have to be one, type hashtag #B1 in the chat. Put your B1 in the chat. Let us know who you are, what you represent. Also, hit the thumbs up button if you haven't done that yet. That helps the algorithm so more people see the chat. Third, powernomics.com is where you can get access to all of Dr. Anderson's materials. He has a library pack with all of his books and the DVD for $99. It will be the best investment you've ever made in your life. It will accelerate you through the rest of your life. I keep Powernomics right next to me all the time whenever I'm working, just in case you want to know. Now, Dr. Anderson, let me ask you about this then. So I was thinking about this, and I was talking to a young lady the other day who told me she worked in at a university, and she was one of those enrollment people, one of those people that helps you figure out what classes you want to take. Study. Yeah. And we talked about, how her student loans are so high. She said, I don't know if I'm ever be able to repay them. And she said, I'm having second thoughts about my job because I'm guiding all my people, to these universities that'll give them all this debt just so they can go get a job working for white people that's not going to pay them enough to get rid of the debt. And what I said to her was, I said, a lot of the educated folks in our community, have really, unfortunately, many of us, I say us because I'm in that category too, a lot of us are almost signing up for a form of educated sharecropping. You know, and you're an expert on history, so I'd like to see if you can help me make that analogy, you know, see how well that analogy fits. But from what I've read about the sharecropping experience, you know, the idea of farming land and getting loans from somebody was not a problem itself. The problem was that it seemed like they would get so much debt that they even when they farmed the land as best they could not repay the debt. So the debt becomes a type of slavery. The sharecropping situation becomes slavery, or like slavery. Can you tell us more about sharecropping so that because I read a lot, I did my research, but you're the master, you're the expert on these things. Can you tell me? It almost, I really feel like these college degrees and all this debt that we're getting, where we're getting master's degrees and ain't mastering nothing, management degrees, business management degrees, and ain't got a business. It almost feels, you know, but you're sitting there with $100,000 in debt that you can never repay. If you in the chat and you having problems with your student loans, say something in the chat so people know that you exist. It almost feels like sharecropping. What do you think, Dr. Anderson?
Well, you're absolutely right. It is important. See, first they got to go back to the basic premise, and that is you live in, what kind of society we live in? We live in a capitalistic society, capitalistic democracy. Now what is capitalism? Capitalism means owning and controlling the land, the tools, the resources, then using everybody else's labor to enrich yourself with wealth and power. Let me go back. That's capitalism. Capitalism is owning the land, the tools, and the resources, and using other people's labor to inspire yourself to richness and power. That's it. Now, did you hear me say anything in there about anything social? There's nothing that, okay, let me define it again too, what capitalism is. That was how capitalism was formed back in the 1500s, like about 1504, 1505. Now, which means over 500 years ago, when slavery started. That's how capitalism was established. Capitalism means owning, control the tools, the land, and the resources. That's why everybody was trying to develop the Western world, to get the land, the tools, the resources, and use other people's labor. The people they used were black folk. Now, W.B. Du Bois in about 1915 redefined capitalism for you. I'm going to ask you a question indirectly by going around the bun. He said capitalism is like having 3 or 4 ears of corn. Okay? You eat one, okay? You sell one, and you use the seed from the other one to do what? To replant more, to raise more corn. It's eat, saving, selling, and surviving. That's what capitalism is. Now, no place that W.B. Du Bois or the original definition of capitalism say anything about say anything about civil rights, social integration. It says owning, controlling the tools, the resources, and everything else. Now we come to the question you raised about employment, working for somebody, and that's the end of the line. Who owns the tools, the land, and the resources? They're using your labor. If you're laboring at the end of that spectrum, that means you're already a loser. You're already a loser. A loser means why? Why would you say, Doctor? Why would you say they're losers? Because you cannot enrich yourself by working somebody else's job. A job is not designed to redistribute wealth and enrich you. Common sense again, you cannot enrich yourself off of working a job. So what's the purpose of the job, Dr. Anderson, Dr. Boyce Watkins? The purpose of a job is to maintain you, to keep you 1 week away from welfare, food stamps, and unemployment lines. You cannot get rich off of working a job unless you're good at stealing. Let me try to give it to you again. You cannot get rich off of working a job unless you're good at stealing from the person that owns all those resources, tools, and the land. If you're there, they're using you until you can retire. You can work there for 40 years and retire. All you're going to get is a watch, a gold watch, and a certificate, and maybe your last paycheck. You cannot get rich off working a job. You'll get rich in wealth building off of owning businesses. Now, so anybody's working and thinking they're gonna get rich, they're gonna make it. Now, what happens let's look at blacks. Everybody in most cultures know this. They understand capitalism. So when they come to America, one of the first thing they're gonna do is try to find a business. And nobody's coming to America looking for any jobs. Nobody in his right mind coming from Latin America, Africa, Asia, coming to America to get a job. They can get a job in their own respective communities outside the United States. They're coming here to get hold of those three things I talked about: land, tools, and resources. That's what they're coming here for. They're coming here to freeload off of what's here. And so let's watch the way it works. Now, for instance, right now, Asian unemployment right now is the lowest in the country. It's only about 1 or 2% unemployment. That's pretty standard for those who are coming in and moving around. Arab unemployment is around 1 or 2%. Always has been fixed at those low levels. White unemployment might vacillate and go up to, as I told you a few minutes ago, it might go up to 4 and 5%. Okay? Now, black unemployment, based on the standards they use for measuring unemployment, has always been just the opposite of what they're telling you. It's always been somewhere like about 35% nationally. Nobody tells you that because the black folk got institutionalized, structural unemployment, which means they're not even being counted. Their national unemployment rate is about 35%. In major cities right now, like Detroit, Michigan, is 48%. In Baltimore is 48%. In Pittsburgh is 49%. In New York is 52%. For black youth right now, it's about 86, 87%. That's why you got the gangs running around. They're not working because they're officially on the rolls as unemployed, but nobody cares. Nobody's looking for jobs for them. So they're suffering joblessness. There's no jobs in the black communities for them to work. That's why Asians right now, 1 out of every 10 Asians right now, one out of every 10 Asians is going to have a business because he comes here to start businesses. As soon as an Asian gets off a plane and lands in America, he's going to go find a coffee shop, a street corner, put up a table to sell something. He's going to get into commerce because his culture conditions him not to work for someone else. It conditions him to own a business. So he'll come to America, go to university, go to college, get the highest grades he can get, point 1. Point 2, he's told that to get the best grades he can get, and the best grade is usually an A. And so Asians get the highest grades they can get in school. Then when they leave there, they go out and they look for a job. They look for a job only on a limited basis. They look for a job, say I'm gonna work a job in some part of a business that they want to go into. I'm gonna learn some aspect of that job. And I'm gonna work that job for no more than about 1.5 years to 2 years to learn. If the lowest level, if I'm working in the stock room, I'm gonna work in that company, so I learn how the stock and inventory is done in that company. I'm gonna work there for 1 or 2 years. Then he quits. He said, I didn't come to America to be a laborer. I came to America to own business. So he'd get out. He said, I learned that aspect of that business. I'm gonna go find another similar job in the same business, line of products. He said, I'm gonna work there for 2 years. This time I'm gonna work as a salesperson or a management person. He'll work there for about 2 years at the most. So the philosophy that's instituted into Asians is that by the 5th year, they now should have learned enough about a business to be able to quit. No more being a laborer, and to now go out and start their own business. Now that's put into them. That's learned. They get spankings so they get the first few years of their lives. What are they gonna do? Get the best grades. What are they gonna do? Get the best grades. What are you gonna do? Get the best grades. The next thing, what are you gonna do? I'm gonna work a job for about 2 or 3 years. What are you gonna do? Work a job about 2 or 3 years. What are you gonna do next time? I'm gonna quit and go work another part for about 2 or 3 years. Then by the 5th year or so, I'm quitting to start my own business. So that's why Asians right now, 1 out of every 10 Asians are in business. Watch this now. 1 out of every 35 whites are in business. 1 out of about 100, every 54 to 56 Asians, Hispanics are in business. But 1 out of every about 105 blacks are in business.
Mm. Wow, wow. Everybody who's watching, I'm talking to Dr. Claud Anderson. He's the author of the books Powernomics, Black Labor, White Wealth, The Black History Reader, and Dirty Little Secrets 1 and 2. His website is powernomics.com. That's powernomics.com. If you could type that in for me, I'd appreciate that. Also, if you could hit the thumbs up button, I would really appreciate that as well. And I want to remind everybody that my investing masterclass starts on the 6th of May. So if you still haven't enrolled yet, feel free to go to drboycemasterclass.com. That's drboycemasterclass.com. So Dr. Anderson, you know, I'm gonna mention something. Actually, you told me this story, and I'd like for you to elaborate on this. You know, because I run into a lot of people, you know, when we talk about the importance of ownership and the importance that entrepreneurship plays in job creation, that we have a shortage of entrepreneurs that are creating the jobs. A lot of people think that that in order to own assets, in order to be able to do that third thing you mentioned, which is, you know, plant the seed. You mentioned the 3 ears of corn, you eat one, sell one, and you plant one. A lot of us know how to eat the corn. We can sell the corn, but we don't think so much about planting the corn. And when I think about the corn, I think about you know, your human resource, you know, your human capital, you know, what you do with your time, you know. So we know how to waste time, like, you know, watch TV, sit around, do nothing, spend time just hanging out. We know how to sell our time, right? We sell it to our job, you know, and and that's what we do, you know, a lot of us do for our whole life. I got out of that business. I didn't want to sell hours of my life for a paycheck. But then when it comes to investing the time, planting the third ear of corn, like you talk about, sometimes we forget that part. We don't plant anything, and when you plant no seeds, you have no harvest, right? And the harvest is what gives you financial security. That's what protects you. And one thing that I remember, you told me a story when we was in Chicago. You probably don't remember telling me this. Just in case everybody wants to know, when Dr. Anderson is just talking casually, all he's doing is talking about black folks. Like, he loves it. He loves black people that much to where it ain't a job for him. This is who he is. And we were in Chicago, and we ate at that fish restaurant downtown. Remember, because you was real hungry, and
yeah.
we drove all over finding a restaurant. And I remember you told me on the way back to your hotel when I was dropping you off, you told me about I think you said some Jewish friends you had that realized that, you know, running a business is nice, but owning a piece of a business might be better. So, for example, you used the example where you said, I could have sworn you said it like this, that instead of owning and running a whole business, you had friends that would just buy 10% of 10 businesses so they could become passive investors, right? And just own a piece of the business and get a piece of the cash flow, but not have to do all the work, right? They spend the time on the golf course and stuff like that. Can you kind of speak to that? I think that might be appeal to people that maybe don't want to, you know, like, you know, run a rental property, have to, you know, fix the toilet in the middle of the night, or have to run a restaurant or whatever. I believe everybody should be an owner of something. Everybody should own something. You got to have something that's yours. Can you kind of speak on that example and what your thoughts on that?
Okay, good. And I remember what I told you a few minutes ago about what capitalism was. See, we as black people are the only people to try to practice capitalism without capital, which makes it can't be done. That's like practicing flying an airplane. You don't have a plane. You can't, where you gonna go? Unless you're just gonna jump off a tall 10-foot story building, just fall through the air. You gotta have, so we try to practice capitalism without capital. And with us, what I found out was that other groups, they have a community. First thing they do is build a community or a sense of community. And as soon as they build that community, then they say that to make this community viable, and that we'll always be able to have resources and have jobs, but more importantly, they have business investment opportunities. So what they say we try to do is that we tell all of our Jewish friends, like they told me, like, we know, Dr. Anderson, we're gonna open up about 5 or 6 restaurants up in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we're gonna put up, I think it was either Burger King at that time or McDonald's. I don't know which one it was. And what we'll do for you, since if you just, because we trust you, that we'll give you 51% ownership. We'll put up the capital. You don't have to do it. They just come in, just run them, and you'll have 51% ownership in 5 restaurants in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we'll have, and the 3 of us put it up. We get the other 49%, or 4 of them. And when I said, well, I said, you don't have about 10% each. They said, that's the rule in us. They said, what we try to do is always get 10%. I said, 10%. I said, now as a black person, now this is way back when I was when I was in politics. I said, Tim, I would love to have my own. They said, no, don't do that. They said, whoever owns the most got the trouble and the risk. And they said, always go for 10%. They said, if you want to have 100% of something, go in and invest, get 10 tens, get 10% in this, 10% in this, 10% in this. You get 100, then you got 100% ownership, but you don't have any work. You don't have any calls on anything. They said, oh, you got to do it. And I said, nah, I thought I was pretty smart in business. I said, damn, I just learned something. And so because that time off the record, see, I just built WOWD in Tallahassee, Florida. Because when I first took over education in the state of Florida, they wouldn't play black music then. None of the radio stations would play black music. I want to hear black music. They all either country and western or white music. And so I said, damn, I'm gonna build me a radio station. I went through the elaborations and combination of sophistication of going out fighting to get a radio license. And so I got a radio license for WOWD. WOWD, which is now one of the best radio stations in Florida, goes almost all the way across the state from Tallahassee to Jacksonville, Florida on the east side and almost to Panama City on the west. So I started building from the ground up. And at that point in time, I wanted to have 100% ownership. And so I invested all the capital except for the little bit some I took from my brothers, and I gave them some interest in it, two brothers. And all of a sudden it dawned on me after about running that station for about 5 or 6 months of what my Jewish friends had told me. I had at that point about 70% of the radio station, but guess who had all the work? Me. Every time there's a problem, and every time it rained, storm came up, the lightning struck that radio station because I put it on the highest hill in Florida. I bought the land on the highest hill in Florida, so that signal would go all the way across the state. But guess what? Not only did it attract listeners, but also attract lightning. So every time it thunder and lightning, it hit that damn station and knock it out. Now, guess who had to get up in the middle of the night and go worry about how to get that station back on the air or find the equipment and money to repair it? Me, not the people, not my brothers who only had less about 9 or 10%. Then every time somebody calls and says, you know what, Dr. Anderson, those your discharge up there smoking marijuana on the job. You at risk of them snatching your license from you, taking it off the air. Guess who would have lost all this money? Me. Because I had 100%. When they call and say, you know, Dr. Anderson, these guys see themselves as movie stars, and they got girls up there at night running through that radio station. I was at risk when that radio station had to be cleaned up. Guess who had to come up there and mop the floors and clean the toilets? Me. When the grass was growing up all around the radio station, and snakes would come up in the weeds and grass. Guess who had to show up on a Saturday to go up there and cut the grass? Me. Because you know why? In all respect, because I was a majority owner. I learned from that. I said, I don't ever want to be the majority owner anymore. I'm going to be like my Jewish friends. I only want 10% of anything. So that way, if it goes bottom up, then I say, hey, it's gone. And on Saturday morning, I can go out and play golf, play tennis. So I learned the 10% rule. Said, don't ever, if you can get it, if you want to own 100% of something, go invest in 10 and get 10% of about 10 different businesses, and you'll be set. You can vacation, travel. Let the guy who owns the most, the guy that can lose the most, let him worry about it. Okay. And anytime I came up short and couldn't make payroll, guess who had to go find the payroll money? Me. So I own 68 to 70%. So don't ever don't aim to be the majority owner if you don't have to. Be just 10% and sell it for it and get you a lot of 10s and make out like a bandit. You got me cut off.
Sorry about that, Dr. Anderson.
Okay.
I will say that, over time, and I know what you're talking. I agree with you on that. The risk and the headaches and everything else, and when you are the majority owner, you get the majority of the benefits, but you get the majority of the headaches too, right? If you got people working for you, they don't care about the business the way you care about it. You know, it's like a parent versus a nanny. You know, a nanny can go babysit other kids, but if that's your only child, you know, then you got a different type of investment. And I think also, you know, where I drew the line was when I'm deciding if I want to take on that majority owner risk and responsibility and stress, it comes down for me a lot of times to, number one, do I even have the time to do it? You know, and I don't have time to do hardly nothing anymore, but also, do I really like it? I mean, am I passionate about it? You know, or is it just something I'm just doing for money? If it's something I'm just doing for money, then I'll just tell people, look, I'll find a way to put up some money. I'll put up some resources, but I don't want to come to no meetings. I don't want to be involved. I don't want nothing to do with doing the work. But if it's something that I really love, the benefit of doing something I love is that, you know, even if the money ain't coming in, I'm still enjoying it. You know, like what I do now, I love it. It's just fun for me. I was doing it when I wasn't making no money, you know. So that gives you that staying power, you know, for those tough months of, you know, when it's not really taking off. And so I want to ask you about this. You know, you're talking about.
Do me a favor. Before you leave that point, let me throw another point in there on what you're saying, and follow up to that. After raising Cain in Florida, about where I wanted so many blacks to have businesses in all the airports in Florida. And again, the guy named Dick Judy, just was a director for the airport at Atlanta International Airport. And I said, I'm not putting any blacks in here. And I jumped all over his butt and said, then you're gonna lose your job. You're gonna find. So anyhow, after threatening to get him removed, he then decided to put some blacks into the shop. I came back, he had put it, said, well, I got a black here. I put him into the Afro shop. I said, Afro shop in the airport? That's here. I said, wait a minute. He said, well, yeah, now. I said, that ain't gonna cut it. He said, well, I also, because of you been putting pressure on me by doing something for black folk, I'm gonna hire all the baggage handlers. I'm gonna hire blacks to carry the bags. I said, no, wait a minute. Between putting up an Afro shop, like somehow coming to the United States, they're gonna go to an Afro shop in the airport. I said, that's a dummy. Then you're gonna hire all the blacks to carry the bags for the whites. Okay. Yeah. I said, no, I said, they ain't gonna cut it either. He said, what do you think I should do? I said, look, I'll put a shop up. And what I'm gonna put in an ice cream shop. I know people buy on spur of the moment buys. And I said, no, I want the first big space right next to the front door in the Atlanta Miami airport. They call it Airport Ice Cream Shop, which is still there. I said, my ice cream shop, I'm putting it right there at the front door. And and I got it in there and got it up. Now at that point, it was mine, all mine. But then I decided to go with President Carter to take a position in the White House, you know, with his administration and his cabinet. So I had to give it up. So I picked a friend of mine, the girl, she named it Brenda Rivers, who's running it now. And I turned around and gave her the whole ice cream shop. And told her, you work it on a basis of trying to get 10%. I don't want this to be your whole business. Just run this ice cream shop. But even though that ice cream parlor was still existing after 27 years, sells more ice cream than any ice cream parlor in the United States. Black owned, okay? That's what I'm telling you. I started running it. And now I said, now you work it till you get to 10%. She did it. Guess what? Now she has about 4 or 5 operations in that airport.
Really?
Yeah. I think she has 2 Subways in there. She has a pizza place in there. Each one. And each one she went into, she cut it where she got 10% in all those other shops that cropped up. So now, besides the airport ice cream shop, Brenda gets about 5 or 6 different checks coming in from all those other shops that she only has 10% in. And she said, now I got more damn money I ever had in my life. She said, now all I got to do is sit back and try to figure out where did I spend all this money now? And so now she subsidized little projects for blacks and for the black community. But she went from nothing to that one thing and learned the concept of getting 10%. So she now has about 10% in about 5 or 6 different businesses in the airport. And so now she said, I got more damn checks coming in than I can cash. Mm. and she doesn't have to do anything, and she doesn't run in those other shops. She just has 10% in them.
Mm. Well, you know, that's an important part of financial security, and I want everybody to listen to that. You know, security, you cannot have job security when you just got one job and one stream of income. That's not security. Because as a lot of people are learning right now, 30 million people just lost their jobs. A job can disappear just like that, you know. So security means a lot of things. A few things that it means is the ownership of assets. That's why I tell you guys to just buy a little bit of stock every week, every month. That becomes part of your asset base. You know, your retirement 401k becomes part of your asset base. Real estate, you know, you buy a house, go ahead and put money into paying the house off if that makes you feel more secure. If you have a couple of businesses or different streams of income, that adds to your base. So you want to think about, you know, what security looks like. Now, Dr. Anderson, we've talked about financial security. You've gone deeper. You've actually talked about food and water security, and you are a believer that there is a coming food and water shortage. Now, this week they just announced that the meat supply, that a lot of the food supply has been affected because they're shutting down all the plants because of the virus. Where do you think this is going, and what are your thoughts in terms of the shortages of food and water that our people?
Can I step away from the screen for about 2 seconds?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell them about your books while you step away.
Okay.
All right. So by the way, everybody, if you could do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button right now. Take 1 second. Please hit the thumbs up button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell if you want the notifications to go out. Sometimes they go out on the YouTube channel. Sometimes they don't. Dr. Claud Anderson's website is powernomics.com. That's powernomics.com. And also, again, if you want to join the masterclass, we start on May 6th. It's drboycemasterclass.com. That's drboycemasterclass.com. So let me show you guys something Dr. Anderson showed me, and I'm going to go ahead and school you guys on it. And then Dr. Anderson can fill in the void when he comes back. This is something that Dr. Anderson had sent to me via email. And it's something created by a brother by the name of Daryl Addison. And Daryl Addison, as part of, you know, the whole food security issue, a lot of you had asked me about that in terms of us growing our own food and stuff like that. He created something that I want to share with you guys so you guys know about it. It's called Torpedo Pot, and it's a self-growing farming system. And it looks to me like the benefit is that you can grow your own food in a very small, a very small location, and this might be something that's relevant in terms of food security. I'll tell you the truth. Alicia has a little garden in the backyard, and that's usually, honestly, that's her thing. But I'm actually going to look into that because I do think that food security is something we have to think about. And Dr. Anderson, I was telling him about Torpedo Pot, and in fact, I think what I'll do is I'll email out this PowerPoint so others can get it. So Dr. Anderson, can you speak on this a little bit in terms of what led you to send me this information about Torpedo Pot?
Yes, I can, because I think on 2 or 3 previous occasions I went through this whole scenario about what I call the 4 horses of the apocalypse, how we've gone through all 3 of them at this point in time. The 4th one's on scene now, called, you got, the first horse was a white horse, then in the Bibles, it's from Revelation 6 out of the Bible, 6:1. Start talking about the 4 horses coming to our society. But the 4 horses came, the 4 horses of the apocalypse in fulfillment of Revelations began coming during the civil rights movement in the 1960s. And again, that's my understanding from my knowledge of history, but also more importantly, in fulfillment of my commission for being here on the earth. As I told you, I came here with one sole responsibility: I was look out and fight for Black folk. I'm not opposed to anybody else. I'm not against anybody else. I'm just for Black folk. But the 4 horses of the apocalypse, first was a white horse, then the red horse, then the black horse, and now the last horse has arrived. That's called a pale horse. Pale horse, if you look in Revelations, you'll find a pale horse was for pestilence. It's bringing pestilence and diseases and to the earth, as well as shortages and famines. And that's what's coming now. There's the pale horse is with us. That's why the virus is with us right now. It's going to have a total negative impact on Black folk because it's going to follow the structure of the system. And right now, Black folk outside and underneath the system, they're going to receive the greatest negative impact. just like they do in everything else in terms of lack of. And so I was trying to, so my commission was to try to get Black folk to understand the importance of becoming more self-sufficient as fast as they can. Because what's going to follow this virus right now, what's going to follow it is going to be water shortages. That's coming. Because right now, about 20% of the world, 25% of the world right now is suffering from water shortages. We're going to have water shortages coming to America, starting on the East Coast and coming across. And that's going to have major negative impacts on Black folk. Because Black folk, right now, about 100% of all the water in America, whether it's on rivers, lakes, or the ocean, white folks sit on it, sit on the land. Black folk don't control any access to water, basically. So water shortages are coming. That's why in Maryland and Michigan, where Black folks been drinking almost raw sewage up there for the longest, because they don't control the water system. That's another reason why whites want to take over the city of Detroit and try to gentrify it. You know why? Because all the major water system for Michigan, for Detroit regional area was inside the city of Detroit. The sewage system up there was inside the city of Detroit. Whites wanted Detroit back desperately because that's where they got the water from. That's where the sewage system was. They wanted to take over Detroit and gentrify it so they can privatize the water system and the sewage system in Detroit. And so Black folk now got to pay more in Detroit for water than whites in the suburbs now that Detroit has been gentrified. For about 20, 30 years, Detroit was under the dominance of Black elected officials. Now that in the last 10 years, whites are taking Detroit over. And the first thing they did was raise the price of water so that water would be cheaper in the suburbs for whites than in Detroit, even though the water factory is in Detroit. And so now that there's going to be a water shortage is coming. And then I tried to get Black folk years ago to get into the bottled water business. I got a whole big plan drawn up about a document for how Black should be in the water business. That time, Black folks said, Dr. Anderson, you keep talking about shortages coming. That's like Noah talking about storms coming. Ain't no damn cloud in the sky. You're just scaring people. Ain't no clouds in the sky. Now you're talking about water shortages. It's coming. When following the water shortages, it's going to be food shortages. Once you get water shortages, you're going to get food shortages. That's coming. And then following that, it's going to be next thing you're going to have is going to be class warfare and race warfare. You're going to have in this country. You're going to find all these. The Confederate South wants to rise again, and so that's what Trump means when he says MAGA, M-A-G-A, make America great again. The only two times America was great was when they had slavery for Black folk and semi-slavery. That's the only time America was great. And see, and the southern white nationalists understand this. MAGA, that big red letters on Trump's cap, he knows that means that's a racial signal, which means again, take things out, and Blacks gonna expose Blacks, make them the bottom, they're gonna bear the burden. And the last thing will follow that will be wars. Then you're gonna have wars between the countries. They're gonna fight over food again. The next war is gonna be world wars over food and water. That's why you got about 7 major nations right now coming to the water, going to the Great Lakes, trying to take water out of Great Lakes, because countries around the world are short of water. So what I'm saying now is I want Black folk to become more self-sufficient. And there's a Black guy named Torpedo Anderson up in Philadelphia. He's invented a very special tube for raising vegetables. He can raise vegetables in his pots about 3 or 4 times faster in his pots than you can outside. And those pots that he's invented can operate either on the back porch, in the basement, or in the garden in the back, called torpedo pots. He can raise these vegetables. And you can mix those vegetables up. They can raise the vegetables and mix vegetables. You can put everything in there from watermelons to carrots to tomatoes, anything you want. So Blacks can feed themselves. But the problem right now, in the conclusion, is that's why I appreciate your support. What he needs now, he has not been able to get this thing off the ground the way he wanted to get it off the ground. But this might be a good business opportunity for Blacks to invest in. And I want Blacks to give it some full thought, but make a decision on their own, not because I'm recommending it or you recommending, but they have to grow healthy vegetables real fast. They'll be able to feed themselves whether you have terrorism coming to America, or you got viruses coming to America, you got water shortages or famines coming to America. This will be a chance for you to be able to be in a position to at least have some vegetables for your family to eat. And if you look on that chart, you'll be able to find his telephone number, or I can give it to you. You can call him and tell him that you want to be able to either buy those tanks and or be able to invest in it. He needs some investors. It's your chance to invest with him. And here's his number. I'll give you the telephone number.
Oh, his number's right here on the screen, Dr. Anderson.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'll say it out loud for everybody on Instagram that would like to learn more about Torpedo Pots. I don't know anything about this investment of this company, so I'm not recommending. We're not making a recommendation. We want to make sure that's 100% clear. But we want to definitely. I'm going to check out this company, and also I think that it's worth thinking about sort of these issues, right? We talk about security financially, but then what happens when you get to a world where money is no longer relevant, right? And you're dealing with real life or death scenarios. Well, food is obviously very important. Safety is important. So Daryl Addison, he's the founder and CEO of Torpedo Pot. It's spelled right there on the screen, just like the word torpedo, and P-O-T, not P-O-D, P-O-T. His email is Daryl, D-A-R-R-A-L, D-A-R-R-A-L at torpedopot.com. The website is torpedopot.com. And then he also has agriculturalblockchain.com, agriculturalblockchain.com. The number here listed is 215-290-9013. That's 215-290-9013. So this is really interesting, Dr. Anderson. I'm going to check this out. And,
he needs money pretty quickly. And what he needs is investor capital. He doesn't need a loan. He needs investor capital to come in with him and take the risk with him. And because contrary to what most people are saying, this virus is going to be with us for at least another year, and people are going to have to get food. And this is a good thing to get into if you want to try to raise your own food. And because I've always encouraged Black to be self-sufficient, this might be a chance for you to make a small investment. He's going to need about $100,000 to $150,000 to build an infrastructure, which means have a warehouse space for making his pots and tanking and shipping and hauling and marketing, and needs about $100,000 to $150,000 as fast as he can to get up and running. Because when the food shortages hit here, and maybe starting now, I've been predicting it. That's why I wanted to get up a few minutes ago to look for one of my newsletters. I wrote 3 or 4 articles about this back 10 years ago, telling Black folk it was coming, food shortages was coming, and viruses were coming. And I couldn't find the newsletters, but when I went and looked for them a few minutes ago. But anyway, check it out. If it's a good investment based on your decision, invest with it, be a part of it, and try to get those things shipped across the country and set up a major network for investment opportunities. One of the commitments I made to Dr. Watkins when I came with him was that not only we want to talk about historical things, but I want to talk about things in terms of solutions. How do Blacks become more self-sufficient is to have solutions and having capital. That means producing. The major profit margins is always he who produces got the best chance of making the most money. Not at the retail level, but at the bottom level. Produce, then go up. Produce, then you get warehouses, wholesales, retailers. It comes last. And this is just one opportunity. I'm going to be naming some other opportunities. I'm trying to get Blacks. I want you to think about it in the coming months. I'm trying to build up a high-speed rail system for Black folks to invest in, where Black folk can put their money into this, buy small shares, and start businesses across the country. All the plans are already together. It's been worked on now for 5 years. It's all together. That might be another chance. So when I come on your show, I'm going to tell Black folk about opportunities they may have to make miniature investments based on their decision, but having done their homework, thought about it, talked about it, and done due diligence, and invest small amount of money so we have a network of businesses across America. Right now, rather than having 1 out of every 105 Blacks, I want to cut that down where we're equal to whites and Asians. I want to have out of every 10 Blacks, I want one of them to be in business. So we're going to do it. So we're going to work hard to get more business opportunities for Black folk, to make wealth and resources, learn how to produce. Because otherwise, when the new revolution comes, there are groups around the world that want, under globalization, they want to eliminate the consumers, the eaters, and only recognize the producers. Right now, blacks are 100% consumers and almost zero producers. I want you to become producers, whether it's for torpedo pots and food, or grain, or whatever it is, or clothing, whatever you're producing, and or be a part of this metro system for high-speed rail. So I'll be giving you some things to be thinking about every week that I come on with you.
All right, all right. Well, I love it. I love it. Well, you got me thinking about it. I am going to learn a lot more about growing food in the near future, because you don't want to learn these things when it's too late. You know, that's one thing that's true. And
you started
say it again.
I said, you don't want to be thinking about how to grow food after you're starved to death already, you're dead.
Yeah, right. I mean, when the stuff really hits the fan, and black folks, Popeye's chicken will be closed, so they will not be open to, you know. So you're gonna have to figure out a way to make a way. So let's get ready. Let's stay ready so we don't have to get ready. That's really important. So I encourage you guys to keep doing research, keep expanding your mind, and keep listening to people like Dr. Claud Anderson, because that really, I know it elevates my thinking. You know, reminds me, talking to you reminds me when I was talking to my father, and he was processing the whole situation with the virus in a certain way, you know, because he was in Vietnam around the time Saigon fell, you know, and he talks about how, you know, just all the systems that you are addicted to, they just disappear, you know, and suddenly you're dealing with, you know, some real survival issues. And so I remember him mentioning, you know, some real interesting things that really I hadn't thought about, but I'm always listening. You know, I encourage everybody to listen. You know, you ain't got to apply everything, but you got to listen to your elders and the people that know more than you do, because that's how you get smart. That's how you avoid problems. So, Dr. Anderson, I want to say thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Okay, I thank you for inviting me back. And as I said, in the coming weeks, I'm going to be talking about all these new opportunities I'm going to be talking about for them to think carefully about and helping me build a black business commerce infrastructure across America. Now, even in one place, someplace in the country, I'll be identifying in the coming weeks where I'm going to try to build a black business district, where I want black folk to be able to invest and put up their business in a major city where they can own businesses and supply products and jobs for their own people. So they would no longer be suffering from joblessness. If you got businesses, you don't have to be jobless. Your own people can hire you. But unfortunately, most of our civil rights leaders have been telling blacks for too long, go to school and prepare yourself to find a job. No, I want you to go to school and prepare yourself to build and make jobs. You understand what I'm saying? I want black folk to produce jobs, not look for jobs. And that's why you're gonna hear me talk about all these investment opportunities. They'll all be black controlled, black owned. They're gonna learn how to practice capitalism. They're gonna have capital.
All right. Well, I love it. And everybody who, if you did not get the information that was presented here, I repeated it like 3 times, but usually even then somebody still might miss it. So if you want to see it, if you're watching on Instagram and you want to see the information, just go to drboycetv.com and find this video, and you can get on drboycetv.com on the recording. Also, if you, I'll email the slides out to everybody. But so you can get on the email list. If you haven't learned to buy your first share of stock, just go to firstshareofstock.com. If you go to firstshareofstock.com, there'll be a query where it'll ask for your email address. And so not only will you learn how to buy your first share of stock in a free training, but also you'll be on the list, which means you'll get the information, the correspondence that goes out. Okay, so go to firstshareofstock.com and I'll email these slides about the Torpedo Pot out to you guys. Not endorsing it. I don't know anything. Dr. Anderson mentioned the product, but I think it's something worth looking into. All right, guys. So please give Dr. Anderson a digital thank you and a digital round of applause for giving us his time. Let him know how much you love him. Hit the thumbs up button. Also, his website, powernomics.com. That's powernomics.com. All of his books are there. He's got the library pack that it consists of all of his books plus a DVD. Get that for your children. Get that for your family. Let's prepare for the future. Let's be smart and let's be black. So thank you guys very much. Thank you again, Dr. Anderson. I look forward to seeing you.
Thank you. Tell them things and get your things on your program. Get very excited with all these new opportunities coming up. They better get that library pack to keep up. I'm going to be presenting a lot of business opportunities for black folk to go in and make some money and get some wealth, because you're not going to get rich working a job unless you're good at stealing. If you know a good crook that can teach you how to do that, then you don't have to worry about starting a business.
It is your business. Hey, yeah, there you go. Well, I love it. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Anderson. I appreciate the wisdom.
Take care now.
Good day, sir. All right.
All right, bye-bye.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money and the power, never be fake. Stick to code, sign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same empire back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. BBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV.